statewide.
What do you feel is your greatest accomplishment as a student leader at NC State?
I was going to say the fee referendum, but apparently that didn't happen this year. I would say what I would hope to be my greatest accomplishment is this whole realization that you don't have to take no for an answer. No is the default position for administrators when dealing with student government. That's just how it is. Because, for better or worse, a lot of SG ideas are actually kind of dumb. When you actually have to go through all of the costs and all of the stuff you have to do to comply with like state laws and regulations and everything else, a lot of our ideas just don't work because we don't know any better. I was that freshman. Why are textbooks so outrageous? I don't know, but I know NC State Student Senate can't fix them. I didn't know that back then. I was determined we were going to fix textbook prices. But when I came back and realized that, okay, no is the default position, but if we can come up with a good idea and I can find some way that you can justify it to your superiors, or at the very least convince you to look the other way, you can make stuff happen. We had the fee referendum happen. We had the Haunted Hillsborough hike, brand spanking new. We did that. The petition to add reading days to the calendar, that they've been trying to do that for years. The creation of a commuter meal plan with the dining hall, they've been trying to do that for years. A bunch of this stuff that had never, ever been done, even though it had been tried, we changed the tactics on how we approached it, and all of a sudden, in a year's time, this stuff's in place. It's rock solid. So, I don't expect current student leaders to even know who I am except for the name on the plaque, but my hope is that there's enough documentation out there to show you can make one-of-a-kind stuff happen if you come up with an idea, create multiple strategies on how to get there, and then just focus on pushing people where you want them to go. That's what student government is about. Student government fundamentally is about people. And if you can get people behind you, you can make things happen.
Okay, we got just a couple more questions, if that's okay.
That's fine. Look, I know I'm talking a long time. I'm sorry.
Do you think your time at NC State has prepared you so far for law school?
Yes, absolutely. When I went to law school, I got the whole bug for law during the time where I had dropped out. Because working in computers, if you don't have some certifications, you weren't going to get paid back in 2000. I didn't have money for the certifications because if I did, I would have been in school. So I started out, when I first dropped out, I started working as a truck loader for UPS, 3 a.m. to 8 a.m. Monday through Friday loading trucks. That sucked. But I got a job as a file clerk at a law firm. And filing stuff is not rocket science. So I went from there to become a paralegal. And just kind of that's how I got the bug for law. So when I came back to state, I focused on computer science, but then realized computer science and law are actually very similar. If you look at a statute, if this, then this, if that, then that, if 1, 2, and 3 elements are here, this is your result. That's computer science. That's Boolean logic, So academically, that helped with the subject matter when I came to law school. But more importantly, changing who I was as a person and how I dealt with people made it easier for me to interact with my classmates and with my professors and with people I deal with, at the law school arena. Because I went from, this absurdly arrogant prick of a freshman to now where, I've got a huge ego. I have every accomplishment pretty much in my entire life I've put on the wall of my bedroom, and I call it the wall of amazingness. I kid you not. I could pull out a picture on my phone and show it to you. So that if at any point I'm feeling down about myself, I just go into my bedroom, look at the wall, and go, my God, I've done a lot of stuff. I'm pretty cool. So I've got an ego, but I've realized everything I've achieved has only been because other folks have been there at the right place at the right time to help me along the way. To go from being the youngest student senate president candidate in history and lose, then literally a decade later win, under circumstances where I was able to keep my promise to James Hankins that I would never run against him. I didn't have to. He got removed at the time I filed. It was just those circumstances were so one of a kind that I can't say I did that because I didn't. Had he and I not been friends, I wouldn't have been supporting him. Had he not worked with me to get the rules changed, I wouldn't have been able to file. Had we not fought like crazy against this PRR in the first place, I might not have had the fire to even really care enough to want to do any of that stuff. So I'm not trying to throw religion into the tape, but I'm just like, the whole set of circumstances that happened. There's someone up there who's got to be playing some kind of part, but then most importantly, a lot of the people that I've met, when you get along with folks, you treat people like people, you give them the respect that they're due. Again, you can make anything happen if you can get people behind you. And I didn't know that when I got here. It was I don't give a damn who you are, it's my way or the highway. My hope is you're going to like my way so much that you just kind of go along. That's not how the world works. There are a lot of good ideas that don't go anywhere because the people proposing them aren't the nicest folks in the world. The whole experience, the computer science helped with the academic side, but most importantly, really, student government just changed my whole worldview of how I deal with folks. And, I'm still shy when it comes to meeting new people initially, but after that, like with this tape, I can talk for hours about just about anything. And I wouldn't have had that had I not gone through student government here at NC State.
That answers that question. Okay, well, that's good. Could you talk a little bit about how your time at State has influenced your life more broadly?
It definitely gave me a very acute appreciation for education and for philanthropy. I always kind of grew up in an environment, my dad was career military, my grandfather was career military, my mom and my grandmother were both housewives. No one had gone to college and gotten a 4-year degree. But, as I mentioned at the beginning, my grandparents helped raise me, and it was just a foregone conclusion. You're going to college somewhere, period. I wasn't allowed to go out and play until I had done my homework, and it had been verified by Nan that it was accurate. So I never appreciated education. It was just a foregone conclusion. Okay, I'm going to go to college, I'm going to get a college degree, okay, here you go. But having that as your worldview, and then you get here and you have to drop out and you realize, oh my God, I only have a high school diploma. I'm 25 years old working at a law firm as a paralegal with no higher education to speak of. When I got back, I grabbed on for dear life. I wasn't letting go. As a highlight, and as I was digging up this stuff, I found them. I was so terrified that NC State was going to tell me, ha, got you, you didn't really graduate. I have multiple sealed copies of my transcript in a filing cabinet, so that at no point in my life can anyone ever take away my degree, because I have the transcripts. So I'm like, this is legit. They're sitting in my file cabinet, and they're there, stamped by Lewis Hunt. So it definitely gave me an appreciation for the whole education side, more than I had previously. We've talked about my politics, law and order Republican, but I'm also a huge education supporter. I believe North Carolina, more so than any other state, really got it right when you look at Article 9, Section 9 of the Constitution that says the General Assembly shall provide that the benefits of the University of North Carolina and other institutions of higher education shall, as far as practical, be extended to the people of this state free of expense. This whole notion that you have a God-given right to education is a big deal, because education is what allows people to improve individually. What you learn academically will help you in other fields, like it was with me in computer science and law, but more importantly, learning how to interact with the world around you. Imagine how much better this place would be if everyone had to deal with 33,000 students here for 4 years. At some point, you've got to learn how to interact with folks that aren't like you. So it gave me the appreciation for education. Seeing what I saw as Senate President and as ASG President kind of gave me the appreciation for philanthropy that really, it existed, but it wasn't as big a deal. I always thought, okay, I will gladly contribute to the university once I'm rich and I'm making my money. If I'm making $1 million, yeah, me giving you $100,000 is no big deal, because that leaves me $900,000 to come home to at night. But going all over the state and having friends here who had to drop out because they couldn't afford it or they had life circumstances, make it so that financing and education just wasn't possible. Going to other parts of the state and seeing that same thing, it just really gave me a desire to give back. So even now, I'm only out for 2 years. I'm still a student, so technically I don't have any income. The first week of January every year, I cut a check to the Alumni Association, I cut a check to the Computer Science Department, I cut a check to the libraries, I cut a check to the NC State General Fund. And sporadically throughout the years, other folks ask me for stuff, I'll give them what I can. But it has really just kind of highlighted to me, even if you can't do much, everyone can do something. It might not even have to be monetary. my involvement in student government, I'm good at planning. You know, if you give me an idea, I can help make it happen. So hey, if you've got a group you want to get off the ground, I will happily help out however I can, give you what advice I can. But the highlight is that everyone can and should make time to give back, because you've got spare resources in some capacity, either your time, your talent, or your treasure.